Hey guys, welcome back to the Golf Podcast, episode 407. It's our Christmas episode.
That's right. Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas. Santa Claus
Looking
over
good.
here. Yeah,
Looking good.
Right? I don't think I can wear this thing the whole episode, so let me change it already. Hold on a second.
Why not, man? I think it looks pretty good on you.
Because I'll be sweating to death over here.
That's true.
But anyway, we got a lot to talk about this week. You would think it was a slow news week if we
There's
kick
never
it
really
off.
a shortage of golf.
There's never is.
Always weird things going on out there, right?
There always is. So there's no PGA Tour tournament this week. And when we kick it off with our first topic here, which the internet was all talking about, Brooks Koepka running out of gas in his Rolls Royce.
It's great.
When you see that, you think it must be a slow news week, but it's actually not. We've got a lot to talk about. And here's the picture right here of Koepka. And what I like the most is not even just the picture, but was reading through some of the comments and just people speculating what it must have been like. They're just driving down the road and there's Brooks Koepka walking, like huffing it with a can.
Yep.
And try to get gas.
To fill up the rolls, a $250,000 car minimum.
I think that's a $500,000 car.
$500,000 car, but it's, you know what that is? That's like quintessential Brooks. Like he was below the E and he's just like, whatever, I'll make it. I'll make it, whatever.
I'll make it. Yeah.
And if I don't, whatever. Like that's his, mentality, I think, with his golf game and everything else. If I win, whatever, so typical Brooks. It was funny to see. Gave us a good laugh.
He's got Jenna cursing him out for running out of gas. And then he's like,
dude, I'm guilty at all time. I'm always riding below the E, by the way.
Someone said that he was probably blaming Bryson for siphoning it out.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was a good comment.
I saw that.
I saw Bryson. Bryson would have calculated the exact mileage it would have ran out of gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
So you'd think it was a slow news week, but it's actually a lot to talk about. In fact, Mike, later in the show, we're going to talk about the golf.com came out with their top 100 golf course rankings for 2020.
I might have a little bone to pick with it too.
I know. There's some in there that I'm not happy with.
Scratching my head. But we'll get to it.
But we will, and we'll talk about some of our own favorites, some of the ones that we've played. And by the way, guys, if you're listening to this, if you're not already subscribed to the brand new channel that we've got on YouTube, make sure you give that a quick subscribe. We've been doing a lot more with the podcast. We got this new format. We're doing longer. We're trying to really kind of hit on a lot of the stuff that you guys asked us for. Plus, we're having a little bit more fun with some new segments. So you're not going to want to miss the visual. Of course, as always, you can listen to us on all the podcast platforms. So make sure you're subscribed to us on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. But check out the Golf Podcast, brand new YouTube channel. We're going to be doing some big things there in 2022 and beyond. So that's your quick reminder to go hit that subscribe button.
There's nothing like starting a fresh new YouTube channel, right?
It's always an uphill climb.
It's always an uphill climb.
It's tough to take a podcast that was on our big channel and then move it to one with starting from that goose egg 0 subscribers again.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it because this way we can stay more organized because we're really ramping up the content we put out there. And I think it was starting to get a little confusing throwing so many different things on the main channel. So, but that's just one spot. As you guys know, you can get the podcast, both audio and also on Facebook. But we got a lot to talk about. So for one thing, obviously is the big news. And I think everyone, you, I, and even Zach over there who is new. I want to even get Zach's take on this in a second, because here's a guy who came to us, had no interest in golf. So the reason I say that is because I feel like the world's eyes were on the PNC Championship because of Tiger. And I think Tiger, it's not just Tiger at this point. It's Tiger and his son, Charlie. They're just electric. You just want to watch them.
Glued to the TV. Glued. It was. And it was because Tiger was back in a competitive, environment.
We all wanted to see how he would hold up.
Yeah, that's all we wanted to see. We were going into it, everyone was like, I just want to see him have fun with his kid. Yeah, that's all great and good, but like deep down, like we wanted to see, can Tiger compete? Does he have it in him? Is he going to be hitting his wedge shot short? Is he going to be pulling those balls back on a string? What's his putting going to be like? And you know what? He held up pretty darn good, man. Ball speed 174.
Amazing. I would have been happy with Tiger coming out of that, just finishing the tournament and not having to withdraw.
His limping on day one at the end was scary a little. I was like, he's never going to make tomorrow.
Right. And you could see he started to run out of steam at the very end on Sunday. But meanwhile, they birdied 8 out of 9 holes on the back 9. So they were on fire. But you think about this. John Daly and John Daly Jr. are two incredible golfers, right?
Yes.
And John Daly Jr. can really hold his own. Obviously, we'll talk more about him in a second. He's playing at Arkansas. He's definitely headed for the PGA Tour. And here's Tiger, whose first time back from a major injury.
Yeah.
And his 11-year-old son gave those guys a run for their money. finish in second place. What's so incredible is he's such a competitor. They still managed on Sunday. You were talking about ways he could have come out of there with the win.
I know.
He
was knocking on the door almost to win, and it really came down to it. I mean, if you guys missed it, I think Tiger and Charlie finished at 25 under, and JD and little JD were 26 under going into that last hole. Tiger missed the birdie. They both missed the birdie. They would have went to 26 under, and then JD, they ended up making it 27 anyway. So his putt was irrelevant that he missed. But it was so close down to the end. And like you said, for Tiger and his kid to almost win it.
And the Dalys, they're incredible firepower.
Yeah.
Between the two of them.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I just think there's big things. But in general, the tournament in general, I think that this is a model that we can see more of and we're craving more of in golf. The feedback that I saw on social media and everywhere else, and even our own personal feedback, us talking about it, was that we want more of this. You mentioned, you were talking about how your daughter, who doesn't watch a whole lot of golf with you, was glued to it.
She was glued. She came running home from swim class, was like, did Charlie and Tiger tee off yet? I thought that was great. And they sat and watched 4 hours of golf straight.
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
My daughter, who never watches these tournaments with me, was sitting down watching it, and I was fine. I was talking about it more with my father, and it was just like it's just like that family element, and I think it was just great to see.
What was great with my kids is I told them that John Daly was in fact Santa Claus, and I said, guys, Santa Claus is in this event. You might as want to stick in. Yeah. And I think he wore it. Didn't he wear the Santa Claus outfit?
He wore it to the dinner.
Zach, do we got a picture? There it is right there. Him and Faldo.
You got a beard like that, how are you not going to wear
it?
You
look like that, you are Santa.
Well, even with the red getup that they were wearing on Sunday, the Arkansas pants and stuff like that, my daughter was like, who's that? I'm like, that's Santa.
Yeah,
you got to say it. You know what I mean? Like, that's Santa. So now she's like, who do I root for? You know?
Right.
But yeah, it was just a wild one. And like I said, we'll talk about more in a second because there's a lot to come with those, with the Dalys. But I think that Tiger and Charlie are serving as an incredible inspiration and a draw to the game. An example of that was Ian Poulter bringing his son down. And
how cool was that?
That was cool. They weren't even competing, and he brought his son down because he said his son looks up to Charlie. So it's like where we talk about how, and I don't want to put too much weight on Charlie yet. I'd love to see him just have some time to develop on his own. I don't, you don't want to put that kind of pressure on him. But you think about how Tiger brought an entire generation of golfers into the game.
Right.
I think that Charlie has every possibility to do the same with a much younger generation and bring them into the game.
I mean, you see what right there with Poulter's kid. I mean,
yeah, here he is. His son is looking up to Tiger's son. I think that was
that's pretty wild. Like think about how young. Like forget about Tiger, Dad. Like I want to meet Charlie.
Right.
Like Tiger who? Yeah.
It's wild.
It's too old for me, Dad. Right.
It's wild. I
Next generation.
With someone saying like I saw somewhere out there someone talking about like the second most watched or interacted with personality circulating around social media is Tiger Woods' son. You know, the first is Tiger Woods.
Yep.
And it just tells you it's something just incredible. And I think it's because Charlie, in a lot of ways, the way he played and the way he carried himself, he stands on his own. You know what I mean? It's not just saying that just because of the novelty of being Tiger's son that he's getting this attention. I think that people, and myself included, were genuinely impressed with the way he played and the way he carried himself. He was in the top 10 shots from the tournament, that par 3 that he stuck.
Right. Yeah,
178 yards.
He was 3 of the 10 of them, by the way.
three of the 10.
And that's not just because of the novelty. That is because of his performance and the way he plays.
So let me just ask you, young 12-year-old Charlie, is it swagger or is he a little cocky?
That's a great question.
Like, what is it?
And my father and I were debating this, and I was saying, I don't know. It's a fine line because don't forget, Tiger, you could have said the same thing about, and Tiger's confidence and his demeanor served as an intimidation to a lot of people that he played throughout his career and gave him an edge.
Yeah, true.
I think there's a certain degree of some of that's excusable inside the lines. You know what I mean? When you're out there competing.
Yeah.
I think when you carry cockiness and stuff like that off the course and into your life and your interactions with people, that's a little bit different.
That's different. Yeah, that's a good
I don't
point.
have a problem with athletes turning it on when they're out there.
For sure. I mean,
it's gamesmanship, it's showmanship.
And what I
want to watch it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It might put some people off. I get it, but
it might. And I recall there was one part where I believe Tiger's girlfriend and daughter were calling him out from the card. They're like, did you see him? Because he hit a shot, and as soon as he hit the shot, Charlie picked up the tee and started walking towards the hole.
Yeah.
Before the ball landed. on a par 3.
Or how about him walking his father's putt in? That was
great
dying.
too.
I was laughing so hard. That was, I mean, okay, I get it. I mean, what do you guys think? Classify, is it cocky or not? Yeah, I mean, is it cocky or is it confidence? Which is it?
Yeah.
Drop a comment below and let us know what
But
you
I
think.
also noticed with Tiger, like there isn't much of like smiling and excitement when Charlie does something great. It almost seems like it's expected. Like she drops a putt, like he may give him like a little hug, but like for me, like my daughter, I take her and she chips one. If she gets even up in the air and onto the green, I'm like, yeah, you know, just like it's just like it's all business.
I'm sure that there are a lot of it is, but like I said, it's between the in between the lines. You know, when you're inside those ropes,
of course.
I think Tiger is all business, and I think the moment that stopped, and we all saw it, is like a genuine emotional moment when the last putt drops and the hug that they give each other.
That's it.
I think that Tiger is teaching his son, and I don't think Tiger could avoid teaching it because I think that that is who he is. When he is in competition, that is it. It's not time for that. I mean, sure, the fist bumps.
I never thought of that.
Like that,
maybe he says to him, when we're in those ropes, you turn it off. Like you just tune it all out.
Well, he did. He had the big quote this week. The one he talked about was saying how his father had taught him whether you're taking a shot in front of 0 people or 1,000,000 people, it's still the same shot. It's still a golf shot that you need to execute. That's his level of focus out there.
That's insane.
And I think he's teaching his son. And I think ultimately it's going to be something that helps give his son the edge, is learning from Tiger in that way.
Definitely. Totally agree.
And at the risk of this becoming the Tiger Woods show, one last thing we'll say before we move on is talk about this Tiger's career earnings.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw
so
this.
$120 million. Now remember, this is just
on course.
Right? On course earnings. This is not endorsements. This is why Tiger's made over $1 billion and all the other things. But if you break that down, over $1,200 per shot in his career. Every time he has touched the golf ball with a golf club, he's effectively made himself $1,200.
Yeah. Golf shots usually cost me money.
Can you imagine?
That's great. $1,200 a shot in his career.
$1,200. That's the breakdown.
I like those graphics.
I mean, it's just one of those things. It's just seems like it's almost untouchable to get to that level of earnings. But who knows? I mean, maybe it is a record that can be broken one day. Just of the nature of the fact that tour earnings just keep going up.
That's
and
true.
Up.
That's true.
Who knows? All right. So moving on, we want to talk about, of course, about the Dalys too. We talked about John being dressed up as Santa, but I was just genuinely impressed with Little John, who, by the way, I heard this on I was listening to the audio broadcast of some of it, and they were chatting about how he doesn't want to be referred to as Little John anymore.
It's John Jr.
John Jr.
John Daly Jr.
Right. And they were joking and speculating, saying, yeah, he's in college now. I doubt he wants to be going to some of these parties, meeting some girls. He doesn't want to be known as Little John anymore.
John.
Right. So, but, and you can't call him Little John. He's becoming quite a big kid himself. I mean, he's as tall as his father. He's got an incredible swing. He's
incredible
plays
swing.
well.
Just incredible game face. He's dialed in. Like I love his talk about consistency. We see the guys on tour when they do routines, it's always the same.
Yeah.
Same with this kid. You see him just pull his shirt sleeves up with every putt. Just like those little things we pick up on. They're so routine. Even at the young age, I mean, he's not that young anymore. He's in college. But you know what, dude? We got to get him on the show. Zach, can we get Little John on the show?
I can get John
Let's get him.
Jr. on the show.
I'm sorry. I can't call him that.
Yeah, he'd be off the show.
John Jr. on the show. I would love to pick his brain if we were fortunate enough to get him on here. Talk about because I'll be honest with you, college golf is not easy. No, and he's probably, he's not the best one there. And as good as we saw him, he just won that event with his father. He's probably not even close to being one of the best even at that school, which he has a long road ahead of him, but I think he's got a great road ahead of him.
I know. Arguably, I think he could be one of the best guys on the Arkansas team. I mean, this kid's he's a player. And I think where he differs from his father is where you think of John Daly as being like the example, the epitome of just kind of chill out there and just kind of whatever happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
Certainly not overly calculating. In fact, the opposite, just grip it and rip it, type of thing.
Is there a Mrs. Daly in the picture? No, not that we know about.
I don't remember if he's still married or divorced, honestly.
Yep.
I don't know enough about that, his personal history. But John Jr., it seems to be so many ways the opposite. He seems very steadfast. He seems very calculated out there. He seems very focused. In that way, his approach to the game definitely looks and feels different than his father's, but yet still picking up a lot of the traits his father has of being one of the best ever played the game.
And I don't like John Sr. has this path that we saw him smoking a cigarette in the middle of the fairway.
I know.
He's had that history of just drinking and partying, and I don't know, maybe little John won't even go that route.
I don't think he will.
He seems like a different, cleaner cut kid.
I think so, and I think John Daly has kind of become like kind of a crowd favorite for a lot of those things of being kind of like definitely outside the norm of what you would think of a professional athlete. But I don't think his John Jr. wants to just be the next John Daly, like a carbon copy. I think he wants to develop
be the next
own.
Justin Thomas, like someone who's
exactly. And just I think truthfully, John Daly it's a kind of a dying breed on tour, and it's also something that I don't think that many people could pull off what he's pulled off.
Right.
To have that lifestyle and still be able to compete, the tour is going a completely different direction. We're seeing talk about like Justin Thomas and guys like that. We're seeing them so focused on health and optimal performance. I think John Daly is an outlier that he's been able to do what he's been able to do for as long as he has, and basically abuse his body,
abuse it
the way he's done that.
And he's fighting cancer.
Not everybody's lucky, he's doing an incredible job even with that, with the fighting the cancer, and he's got a very positive attitude. But I don't think many people could do his regimen of drinking and smoking and keep up out there. I don't know how he does
smoking Taco Bell and go out there and go low.
Yeah, there's no way. There's just no way.
Before we go on to the next segment, I just want to say I told you guys so.
You did
last
week.
JD
last week, you guys were talking all about Charlie and about how good Charlie was going to be at the PNC, but I said no, you got to wait.
Yeah, and we saw
John Jr. Man. He's gonna
we
be,
saw it. And we got a glimpse of it in 2020 with him at the father-son. He was a younger JD too.
Tune in next week. We'll have Zach's picks.
Yeah.
all you DFS guys.
Yeah.
You'll be on the edge of your seats because Zach is going to pick the winner every single week.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, you were right. You said it. Got to give credit where credit's due. Other things, other big stories. This one I absolutely loved. So Nelly Korda, this clip comes out of her. She had never met Tiger in person, and she had said stories about how when Tiger's playing, she's glued to the TV. And literally, you could tell this is not acting. She was like all of us. Like I literally have never seen anything more relatable in her nervousness to approach Tiger to get a picture with him. She looked like every other fan on earth. And here's a girl who's played lights out. She's the #1 female golfer in the world, gold medalist in the Olympics, and she's nervous to take a picture with Tiger.
The power of Tiger.
If that doesn't tell you the power of Tiger Woods, nothing does.
And what's even more powerful is that she did say in
look
an
at her, she's like giddy when she walks away that she got a picture with him.
She did say in an interview that she actually met him the night before at the dinner. That wasn't the first meeting, and she was still nervous for the picture.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? And that brings me back to my epic moment of shaking Tiger Woods' hand at Ridgewood Country Club. I had to follow him for 6 holes and pretend like I was media. I told them I was a part of the New York Times doing a story because the other guys were there doing that. So I'm like, guys, I'm with you today. Anyway, I can say that now that I got away with it. But hey, I got to shake Tiger's hand.
And we never got credentialed again.
Sorry.
Hey, listen, shoot your shot. I don't think anybody's going to blame you.
It. You know, I put that thing all over the internet anyway at this point. But hey, it was a great experience, and I definitely feel what Nelly felt. But I had to go back and think, like, wow, someone of her caliber never meeting Tiger. But it does make sense. He's been kind of hidden for a year. She only kind of rose to this stardom over the last 12 months. Yep. So, yeah, definitely possible.
And I'll tell you another thing. It's like kind of a side topic to it, but I am digging this kind of mixed format in a lot of ways of mixing in some of the female players into some of these. This is a Champions Tour, but PGA Tour events like we saw with Lexi a week ago.
Yeah.
And now Nelly. Yep. I think it's their game clearly can hold up to that standard. There's no doubt about it. And I think it adds a cool dynamic to it. And it was great watching Nelly play with her father, how this slipped my mind. I never realized, I never put 2 and 2 together that
why would we, right? I mean, like we didn't know.
Right. Her father's a major tennis champion.
Yeah.
He won the Australian Open. Talk about like having some athletic genes in there.
Seriously.
Incredible. And he turned out he's a pretty darn good golfer himself. He
held his own out there.
Great shots out there. So that was cool. The other thing cool was seeing Gary Player.
How about that? Still hanging in at
age 86.
And they finished pretty high up there on the leaderboard.
They did. And it was so cool to see Gary. He's still doing like the high kicks. He sunk a putt and he's doing the high kicks. Everyone likes to see that.
86.
I think it's just at 86.
Shows you the power of fitness.
It does. And we had Gary on the podcast going back probably 2-3 years. ago.
6
years ago?
turned
God,
80.
time flies.
It was his 80th birthday.
We had him on at 80. Wow.
Yep.
And just him telling the stories of how fitness is not like something that he's picked up later in life. It's been his life pursuit, you know, and he talked about the challenges to it at his age when, you know, we're talking 60 years ago when there wasn't as much access. And he talks about just even the difference of going back and forth from South Africa and having it being like a 22-hour flight.
Doing push-ups on the plane.
Doing push-ups in the aisle at the plane. So it's just incredible what to see what he did. And then, of course, the Sinks, the Thomas family.
How about the Sink family? His son, Reagan, I think his name is. He's his caddy.
Yeah.
Great golf family, great golf swings. I thought they were going to have it. And
59.
The Thomas family, on day 2, what really got to me was seeing Mike Thomas recover after that tough day of that back injury.
Yes.
And then coming out, he was making putts, and the smile on Justin's face, like, pop, geez, like, come on, where was this? That was super cool to see.
That so much was. And it's something that I could wholeheartedly relate to and felt every bit of that for him because I was struggling myself with a bad back. And I know what it's like when I saw him not being able to move. You know, I was like that 2 years ago. I had a major back incident when we were trying to play some golf, and it just like, I just physically couldn't. And you feel for him because you know in that spot, it's a time that he wants to perform. He wants to play. But I was just glad, as you said, to see him bounce back, be able to play on Sunday. They had fun. They were in contention.
It was fun.
Didn't have to withdraw from the tournament. So again, so many great family stories.
It goes to show you that 2022's event's going to be kind of anticipated now. Like it's something like maybe we can't wait to watch.
Yeah, it's
gaining more and more traction as the years go on, and maybe you'll see the field expand.
Yeah, I think it's all of these type of like alternate type of events, like the match that they have every year and stuff like that, and just finding new ways to do it. And the PNC Championship, I think, is going to sit right in there.
It's going to sit
with it. So that was really great.
Can we go next year?
Yeah,
I mean, why not? I'd love to. You see
it's
that
right
course?
in Orlando.
That would be so much fun.
That resort looks amazing. Is that the Four Seasons or the Waldorf?
Ritz-Carlton.
Ritz-Carlton. It's one of
it's
those big shot ones. I love it.
You know who's there a lot is Coach Rusty. He does almost all his content.
Oh,
there.
yeah, that's right.
He's right there. You know, if you see his trick shots, a lot of them, you see that same building behind. He does a lot of his stuff there. It's a great spot, and it's great to get down there that time of year.
We definitely. But speaking of Florida, speaking of playing golf down in Florida, made me think of Rob Labritz. Rob Labritz, in fact, if you guys missed it, we talked a lot about it. Rob last week punched his tour card for the Champions Tour.
Yeah.
Local guy. Great story. Probably one of the best feel-good stories of the year. There he is right there on the screen. Rob is going to be on the show next week.
Yes.
So if you haven't already subscribed, do us a favor, subscribe. You're going to want to listen to this episode because here's a guy, 30-year club pro. He brought his dream to reality, and he made the Champions Tour. And I can't wait to talk to him.
I'm looking forward to breaking that down because, like I said, I think we can all learn something from his dedication and his focus.
Yeah.
He just laser focus on a goal of making it onto tour.
Because usually these Champions Tour guys are coming from the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
You know, they're not coming from the clubhouse back
Here's
at the
a guy
country
who's
club.
a club
Right.
pro for 30 years. But, you know, he always hung in there. He participated in some events. And you hear he's kind of like locally kind of known. If you talk among some of the good golfers in the area, they all know him. They've played against him in some spots, and they all say, yeah, he's got the game. He's got the game.
He's a stick, that guy.
Really, he's a stick.
Absolute stick.
But it takes that extra work to be able to get there, and he's one who's never been afraid of it. You know, we talk about Tiger being the best and being one of the hardest worker, if not the hardest worker. It just shows like this is a game. You got to be a worker.
You got to be a worker. And I'm going to ask him about the prep that went into it. And I also want to ask him about what happens next. You know, here you got your card. It's like, what now?
Right, exactly. What events do you play in? Which ones do you
get the pick?
Right.
Like, how does
it
work?
Just go on the road now. He's a guy he's established. He's got a family.
He's got a family. He's got kids. He's got students. He has a. I mean, how does it work? How does it work?
I've always heard him say that the family's very supportive of it. So we'll see where it goes from it.
Cool. We got to see if he needs a film crew.
Yeah.
I'd
love to follow him around one day just to see the prep. What goes into it? It's a lot of grind.
A lot of it.
Maybe we can meet up with our boy Freddie.
Yeah,
one day. That's our goal, to get Freddie on the show.
That's our pitch, our soft pitch. All right, let's run through this golf.com top 100 that just came out
this was
a day or two ago.
Saw this in golf.com magazine in a waiting room the other day, and I thought it was interesting because I said, hey, let me just take a look at this list.
Yeah.
Comes out every year. I was like, where are we at? And of course, right on top, Pine Valley.
Absolutely no surprise at the top, Pine Valley, but there's plenty of surprises below
There's plenty of surprises. Now, here's the interesting. In the top 5, 3 of them are actually drivable from HQ. We've got Pine Valley at 1, and then we got 4 and 5 being out in Long Island, with Shinnecock being 4, and National being number 5. But how about this? Augusta National under Oakmont. Oakmont being 8, Augusta at 9.
At 9. Very interesting. I'm used to seeing it going like 1, 2 of Pine Valley number 1 and Augusta number 2. But it all depends on how they do the rankings. I think there's 2 types of rankings. If you want to go from like a purist course design, you know, and this is something we've had the good fortune of, unfortunately not the good fortune of playing them, but the good fortune of playing with people who've played at places like Pine Valley and Augusta. And I find that the purists, when they come down to just saying from a standpoint of layout and challenge, they just keep going to Pine Valley. It just seems like to be the epitome of golf architecture. But if you're ruling in experience, I mean, it's just Augusta, the history, the things that have happened there, the footsteps that have walked through that place, just the baked in memories of the biggest things that happen in the world of golf are there. And I think that's just, it weighs in heavily for me. So I think there's 2 types of lists. There's the list of saying like from a nerding out on golf architecture versus like point. As just being a golfer and just being like where you want to be and experience.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to look at it. And that doesn't show it here on the website, but in the magazine it had a clean like columns, and they had a rating out of 100, and only the top 2 courses on this list were ranked over 90. Cypress at number 2, which is a course I know you want to play
so badly.
That was ranked at 93. Pine Valley was 97 out of 100 in their ranking. However their rankings go. Get this, Old Course was 89.
Really? I think what they do, if I remember, I'm not mixing up my media sources here, I think that they have all of their writers vote and maybe even some outsiders vote on it. And they have different voting categories, and that's how they get there. But I don't know. But talk about Cypress Point. I mean, I would play Cypress Point over Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
I've the things I've seen, the things I've heard, and what really locked it in for me. I remember when we were playing with Zach Radford, and he had the opportunity to play there. He's like, boys, that is it.
Yeah.
He's like, that's inexplainable. Right. You need to be out there. When you're out on Cypress Point, it's just a totally different world. It's like heaven. He said it was the best experience he had, at least to that date. That's going back about 2 years ago when we played with him last. But he said that was the spot. And
it's incredible. When we just look at it, I mean, you know, we think Pebble out there, but we kind of overlook Cypress.
And that's the thing. It shouldn't get over. It doesn't get the same much visibility as Pebble,
right.
But incredible. But yeah, number 3, the Old Course. We've had the opportunity to play there.
That was built. Yeah.
Yeah, the Old Course. I mean, that's where you get the combination of history, but also incredible challenge and deceiving, sneaky challenge, because nothing looks incredibly difficult. It's that there's so many hidden bunkers that once you're in them, you're done.
You'll scroll down to the description of the Old Course. Read the first sentence. The birthplace of golf.
Features blind bunkers, huge double greens, quirks such as the road hole and Hell's Bunker.
Like, it's got it all right there with wind.
And when that's just it, like the things that I never thought would beat us up that day. I was worried about weather and stuff like that, but it was those bunkers. You need to play that course. That's how Tiger won there. Tiger won by avoiding all the bunkers. You know, playing smart shots and avoiding bunkers. The bunkers will immediately add many strokes to any hole.
Yeah.
And then these huge, vast, you played on video games, you never get the scale of it until you're there. Greens that are the size of football fields with undulations that would just drive you mad. You know, that's where you start to see like, wow. Like some of them, like I remember the short par 4, you drive the green, you're like, great, but you're still in a different time zone.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's wild.
But if you do get to play in the summer and go play it late in the afternoon like we did, we played it at 6 p.m. tee off, and we played all 18 holes. It was awesome.
That was one thing that's great about that time of year in Scotland. It's light until 11 p.m. You know, we're coming off that course. It's at 10:30, and we're still doing well.
By the way, I just checked on this list. They give their writers, their panelists, 489 courses, and then they separate them into these 11 buckets or different groupings based on different things.
So it's their writers and their panelists.
Correct.
So there you go. But so if it was a popularity contest amongst golfers, I think that's where you get Augusta at number 1 because everybody wants to play it. Everyone
that's
wants to
popularity.
it.
And I'll put it out there right now. If you're listening to the show, if you are a member of any of these and you just so happen want to bring us out as a member or guest for a day and we could film it, let us know. I got to put it out there. Maybe we'll get lucky enough to get the invite.
As you said, shoot your shot. This is the shoot your shot episode.
Shoot your shot episode.
Brought to you by Mike Shooting His Shot.
Thanks.
And Oakmont, we said, was it number 8 above
Oakmont is one of the courses I want to put on the channel. Bad.
100%.
Bad.
Muirfield. There's just so many. It shows you how much great golf there is. And it shows you how much great golf there is around.
We saw Baltus Roll, right? That's one of our favorites. We're playing it next year. That was just added to the list. It's at 57. after the renovation. So
what I'm not seeing though, as I'm scrolling through, is where's my
Kiowa.
favorite? Where's
I'm telling you, it's deep, dude. It's deep.
Deep.
You're gonna
Pinehurst number 2 is number 17 though. We played that this year.
You're gonna be upset when you find Kiowa. I'm just telling you right now.
I gotta write a letter to the guys at golf.com.
You're not gonna find it. I'm telling you, you're not gonna find it. Look, it's low. Tara Lee. What did that one?
I remember.
That was when Eric Anders Lang
did a video there. That's an incredible and exclusive golf course.
Ballybunion. Wingfoot West is better than Kiowa. Look at this. Riviera, 27.
I mean, not take anything away. Pacific Dunes.
No, definitely don't want to take anything away from these. These courses are all amazing. Sunnydale, Old Course.
This is just
dude, you haven't even gotten to it yet.
No, we're at number 33. We're Royal St. George's.
I think Kiowa is not even in the top 50. I'm telling you. I think I told you.
No.
Look at him. He's getting upset.
Now I'm just getting upset.
Zach, get a box of tissues. Bring them over here. Like Carnoustie. We're in the 40s.
We've got my local pitch and putt on.
Look at Brookline.
At this point, look,
Brookline at 40, which I hope to get to this year for the U.S. Open. Somerset Hills I played.
This course
that's
right. Windmill and Clowns, and it's above.
Windmill and Clowns is at 44.
Cabot Cliffs. I know that's
Cabot
big for
Cliff.
you. You want to get out 40. To
Did it break 50?
I think we can be taking up this whole episode of scrolling without ever.
No, I don't see it. I think it's 51. There it is. 51. Go to 51.
50 is Swinley Forest.
It's not even Cape Kidnappers.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that
Frank.
Page Black is 52 though.
Yeah.
You have a bone to pick there too.
That Baltusrol's coming up at 50. There it is. No, it looked like
we're
Kiowa.
not going to find it. It's not even on this list. Here's Baltusrol lower is 57.
It's on the list. I did see it, but it's deep. There it is.
Kiowa.
Stop
Ocean
it. You're
Course,
drunk.
number 60. You're drunk. Go home. Go home. You're
60.
Drunk. I think there's something wrong there.
60 guys. Do you agree?
Those guys haven't played.
Especially those of you who have played it.
Yeah. We're just going to have to make our own list.
We're going to do our own list.
Yep. The Golficity Top 100.
We're going to have the 3 of us and a bunch of buckets. Get ready.
Yep.
We're going to figure this out. All right. Whatever it takes.
Just cut there. Let's go.
That's it. All right. Anyway, the other thing though, I just want to show cool little thing that was going around social was this golf table. Did you see this guy that made? I've been seeing more and more of these guys make these custom tables.
Super
where they
cool.
Pour the resin.
I like doing this stuff too.
And I love
the
time lapse. But I mean, how cool! We should have this as our podcast.
This could
table.
be our.
Look at this.
Can we
thing.
get this guy to make us a podcast table? I love it.
The only thing he was catching a lot of hate for the Wilson ball and the bottle caps. But I get it. He's trying to go with a vibe. I get it.
He might not be a gamer.
But it's so cool.
Would you have done bottle caps? I would have did T markers. Just saying, I'm a golfer. I would have done a Pro V1 and the T markers from like those cool ones who got the cradle.
Yeah.
Maybe we just have to rebuild one.
I think an awesome one would be a table made out of all the pencils.
The
pencils. Because I've got I'm not a big collector, but I've got a little pencil collection going on.
Yeah.
Even by mistake.
Yeah,
like this is like I empty out my bag and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Kiowa.
I think that's a great table idea.
Kingsbarn.
Even if you didn't have enough, and like on the one side was pencils, other side was pencils, the middle you had like scorecards under the glass with some, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's something you could sit around. It's all talking points. You can look at them and remember them. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
All my divots. Can I do a divot table?
Yeah,
that'd be epic.
Sure. Let's just start saving your divots. We can forget a table. We can make a whole room. Anyway, so that was cool. And then another cool thing that we just did was our Stadium Links experience.
Dropped today, in fact, on the main channel.
Yes. So if you haven't checked that out over on the main Golficity channel, this clip came out of it that just kind of blew up.
This clip, by the way, about 8 million views, total viral. And by the way, full disclosure, and a lot of the comments coming, we were not intentionally trying to hit these people. If you, this is going to give you more of a reason to go watch our Stadium Links video. They were standing on the targets where at least 30 people are hitting at.
Right.
Just cleaning up balls. Fully knowing that these people are hitting golf balls on the target.
And a lot of people misunderstood. They just thought that it was like a driving range, like hit a different target, but it is. And you'll see the video. Each tee box has a unique, specific target, and there's a whole scoring system. I won't, tell you it all here because you got to watch the video. It's pretty incredible.
We're not horrible people, guys.
Right?
Yep.
But these guys were out there the whole time because you got to talk about in the tens of hundreds and thousands of golf balls that were going out there from people hitting at all these tee boxes.
They need to clean them and rebag them for the next tee times. Yeah.
But honestly, they could have given some of these guys a helmet.
One guy wore like a helmet. You wear like MMA, like a boxing helmet, like the padded one. Nothing else though. Nothing on his shoulders or his body.
But I didn't understand anyway why the manual pushing it around. Like just get a golf cart and attach a pusher to it.
I wonder if
the
golf cart would totally tear up the outfield.
I don't see why it would. I mean,
I don't know. You guys let us know. I mean, A, are you taking this job? And if so, how much?
and tearing up the outfield, what more than literally 100,000 pitch marks?
That's true.
Because you're hitting just wedge shots.
That's right.
Every day, hundreds of thousands
right. Plus
of wedge.
it's all winter coming.
Yeah,
to
I don't
clean it
know.
up.
I don't know. But anyway, that's his little sidetrack. But the video is fun.
Go check the video
out.
out.
It's a unique experience.
And
it's
then
different. It's not regular golf, you know.
And what I want to know, and I'm very curious, when you go to watch that video, put a comment in that video and let us know if it's worth it. If you would do it, I'm curious if you would do it. I personally, I think it's a one and done, but you tell me, go watch it. Check it out.
They certainly didn't have trouble selling tickets because we had to hop on them to get the tickets. We paid for tickets to play, and it was packed. But it is $100 a man. And you'll see in the video, but you get 18 balls. It's 9 holes, 2 shots per hole. So you do the math. It's expensive per swing. Yeah. That's the reality. But I don't think of it as that way, as a traditional, apples to apples comparison to a tee time. It's a unique, its own kind of experience. We had some fun with it. We got some funny, fun videos we did out of it.
And you're going to want to see how deathly afraid we were to swing.
Dude, yeah.
You want to see us be scared? Go watch it.
These
talk
guys,
about stiff.
We couldn't even turn our back legs.
Zach talks a big game, but he wasn't there.
Jack talks a huge game.
We'll see. We'll put him on a cliff somewhere and let him swing.
Same guy who thrives in skiing, but he was freezing in Vermont in September.
Yeah, there it is.
All right.
Anyway, all right, let's do this. Let's do a quick word from our sponsors, and then I want to jump into this week's instruction where we're going to talk about how to hit that low punch shot. You do. You play it often.
Yep.
Well, you talk about Mike. Get out of jail, Mike.
Get out of jail free. Stinger shot, Mike.
That's it. All right, let's do a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll hop right into it. All right, guys, we've got only 2 days left until Christmas, but you still have time to get the perfect golfer's gift.
Store still open.
The store are still open, and what we're talking about is the new Titleist Pro V1, Pro V1X, Pro V1 Left Dash, and AVX. Not only are they the best balls in the game, but they're also the best gift in the game. There is no golfer on earth who's going to be disappointed to have a dozen wrapped Titleist golf balls in their stocking, on their desk. You've got a boss who loves golf. This is the one to do it, and any golfer would be thrilled to unwrap them. It's and these golf balls, they're not just any golf balls. Golfers know they're the very best. They're the most trusted in the world, and they deliver performance that they need to shoot their lowest score. So what makes the number one ball in golf the number one gift in golf too? It's all of those factors. We've been playing it for years. I play the Pro V1, you play the Pro V1X. They're just absolutely amazing performance out of a golf ball. And like I said, it is going to number one gift in golf this year. So I'm telling you guys, you last minute shoppers, head out to the store, pick up a dozen today. You will be making someone happy, and you won't look like you were lazy this year. That's for sure. You'll be the most thoughtful guy.
It'll save you.
There. That's for sure.
It'll save you. And big thanks to FootJoy. The cold is coming. Like, we got punched in the face yesterday and today with some cold.
We did.
We got blessed.
Came
last
out of
Friday.
nowhere.
We played golf. We were almost stripping down to short sleeves on the golf course last Friday, but the cold is here. And hey, we're going to continue to make every day playable. Like, check it out. What I'm wearing right now. I love this hoodie. This is the hybrid hoodie. They logoed it up nice here, but super warm, super comfortable, and it's easy to go out and play golf, easy to swing in. For a warmer, more mild day, like 40 degrees. But if you're out there, it's about 20 degrees. There's that phase one base layer, that thermal long sleeve that I love that they make, plus their Hydro Tour jacket, which is completely waterproof. And I love the mobility. You could swing with it. I always talk about it, but it is important because no one wants to wear like the big North Face jackets while they're out there.
Of course, you couldn't swing.
You can't swing at all. So FootJoy actually has the technology. They're smart there. They don't just create random apparel. They have smart apparel that helps us be better golfers, from the shoes all the way up to these layers that I'm wearing here. So great outerwear layers, and even the accessories, the Stay Soft winter gloves. They have their full zip hybrid jacket, that pom knit hat, which I love. This is the stuff you could just throw in your bag, and there's plenty more that they offer. Just go to footjoy.com and take a look at all of their stuff for the cold weather, and be sure to make every day playable.
And speaking of which, in just a few weeks, we'll have our 2022 What's in the Bags out, and we run through a lot of that type of stuff because it's what keeps us out on the golf course.
Yeah.
I truly am a believer that with just a little bit well thought out layering, you can play in anything.
Yeah, I'm going to try to book us a tee time for early January. As long as there's no snow, I don't look at the number.
We
don't look at the number.
No, okay. We play. All right, let's jump back into this week's episode. We're going to talk about that low punch shot. All right, guys, here's the simple reality. I mean, the game would be a lot easier if you could get around just playing one type of shot. And I think that's where some of us kind of fall flat when it comes to why do we feel like we're so good on the range and not on the golf course. And I think it's because largely a lot of us are guilty, and I can put myself in this category. A lot of us are guilty of going to the range. Maybe we're working on some of their swing, but we're kind of hitting the same shot. We're hitting a full swing shot off of a flat lie, right? And we're just hitting that over. And the reality is golf is not played that way. And the best golfers, even the best golfers, are not hitting only tee shots and fairways all day. So they're having to adapt to different scenarios, and that's the fun and the challenge of the game. We talked earlier about these top 100 golf courses, and you look at them, what makes them that? The challenge is what makes them that way. Anything from the number one Pine Valley with all that sand and the stuff that you have to navigate to Cypress, where you have like trees and things like that you need to work your way on, wind and water. So when you start to cross that threshold into just really becoming the golfer that you want to be, a large part of that is learning different types of shots. And these are the type of shots that ultimately become stroke savers, because otherwise you get yourself in a position and you don't have the shot, or you try to put a square peg into a round hole by playing a shot that doesn't make sense there. You can quickly, that number on the scorecard can go up really quickly.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Fast. Yeah.
So one of the ones to know and to learn is this low punch shot. And as we talk about, whenever we talk about different instructional stuff here, there's two factors of it. One is breaking down and understanding the basic fundamentals of how it's played. But just understanding that only takes you so far. The next thing is getting out there and playing it and practicing it.
Yeah.
Right. I think too many of us, we try to put a shot into play that we haven't tried before.
And this is certainly a shot we're not practicing on the range.
And we should be.
We should be, but we're not.
We should be. And we're going to talk about a simple way that you can practice it here in a few moments. But this, like I said, that's what separates. It's funny. I remember talk about good golfers. Zach Radford, who I mentioned earlier, he's the one who you see on Instagram playing these crazy shots under the trees and all that type of stuff like that. And when I asked him outright where he learned that, and he said it was just as a kid having fun and experimenting with, like, what can I do? Like, how much can I curve the ball this way? How much can I? And that's what it comes down to, is having a little bit of fun with it. And I think that's why at the range we neglect to do it. But if you can switch your mindset and just be like, hey, this would be fun to try to hit this or that. We kind of did it in our own way, where we developed like those challenges where we were trying to hit like that target we had made.
Yeah.
Remember, out of a garbage can.
Right.
There's ways you can have fun with it. You can look at some of the pin flags that are maybe 50 yards out on the range and be like, I wonder if I could hit that flag.
Yeah, that's a good test.
On a shot, and just trying to kind of go through it. But then ultimately, as you learn those, those different highs and lows and parameters of what you can and can't do with the golf ball, you become more aware of it when you get out on the course. And then you don't overstretch yourself. Like, we all kind of like could be a little too optimistic, like, oh, I see a window there, I can punch it through. But having done it before, you can actually make a smart, wise decision. Can you actually do that?
Right. And I think it's just a matter of comfort, like every other shot.
Yeah. And how do you get comfortable? You do it.
Yeah.
You practice it.
Right.
So the reality is that every golfer, when you're getting really serious about the game, you really should learn this shot, and learning it does involve practicing it. And the reason I say that is there's a number of different conditions that you're going to be faced out there. One is windy.
Right. Most obvious.
We saw that, man, firsthand in Scotland.
Yep.
There was days that you just forget about it. Just give up if you only can hit a high shot, because you're at the mercy of the wind.
Right. And if you were able to execute this shot really well, the ground is so dry there that you can send that ball like 400
Absolutely.
yards. Like, you can really send the ball further than you've ever have and keep it out of that wind. So it can add as an advantage.
You can really play a ground game and still score well.
Yep.
Versus if it's terribly windy, I'm just thinking there's only so much you can aim in the other direction of the wind and let the wind bring it back.
Right.
At that point, you're at the mercy of the wind more so than you're controlling it. So being able to play a low shot is important. Another one is, we encounter this all the time, is just a bad lie. You can have a lie that you could be either in someone's divot. Yep. You could be we're not all playing those top 50 courses where every spot your ball lands is 100% pure.
Right.
There are spots where you're going to get these dicey lies that are a little bit, bare of some grass or whatever it may be, and it can make it so that it's a little bit less predictable how that ball is going to come out. So being able to play a lower shot, a lower trajectory shot that's not as subject to a possible weird launch, you have a little bit more control over it.
That's what I was going to stop at. Yeah, I was going to ask you that, because my question was going to be, to keep it low, it's going to take all of the possibility of it drifting right out of play. Right. So in the windy conditions, more wind is up high.
Yeah.
Which is going to take that
and
thing.
The higher it gets into the wind, the more time it's spent.
Right.
Up
And then
there.
at that point up there, we're not going to know where that thing can go. And it could
Right.
be an absolute disaster. So, but I never think to keep the ball low. You know why? Maybe because it's a lack of confidence thing. You know,
you're not confident in the shot itself.
You know, off a tee, like when we see Tiger hit a stinger off a tee on a par,
Yeah.
poor par
It's not
four,
an easy
why
shot
is he
to
not hitting a
stinger.
driver? But he's hitting this low ball because he put it in the spot that he wants by doing that shot, and he uses that to his advantage. And we don't think like that as amateur golfers.
Right.
We're just like, let's get up with this driver and go.
But that's just where we can learn from the best. Tiger, you think about his drill where he had the 9 boxes. Like think of a tic-tac-toe board
Right.
in the sky, and he would be able to still hit his target, but start it through any of those boxes.
Yeah.
He could start it, low left. He could start it like mid shot, and he would alter his trajectory dramatically. And a lot of those guys, when you see them warming up on the range before a PGA Tour event, it's not that they're like us, that they're just kind of like working out their swing issues. Sure,
Right.
you have some guys working with training aids, but a lot of them are getting used to the conditions of the day, the weather conditions, and seeing what types of shots and trajectories they can hit.
Yeah.
They're seeing what the ball does, and like, oh, maybe I can keep it down a little bit today or play it different ways. But keep that in mind. A bad lie can be something where just hitting that little bit of a lower punch shot and just focusing instead on controlled, clean contact versus trying to square peg, round hole, play the same shot you normally would can really make a difference. And the other one, we've all been in this shape in one way or another. It's just playing out under some sort of obstacle. Especially the type of courses we play, you push it right or left of the fairway. Inevitably, there's a tree line that comes into play. And oftentimes going just up and over is just not a possibility, especially when you're further out. So here you can definitely save yourself a stroke if you can play that punch.
Yeah.
I still am a firm believer of play whatever you're very familiar with. If you're in those situations, you're not familiar with the punch, and it's just better to just chip it back into play and take your lump versus trying to play a shot you don't know. But this is, if anything, it should serve as motivation to go out and practice this shot, because we're showing the points of the places where you're going to face it.
Yeah. I mean, one of the videos we were just that's in edit right now we're watching is the Crystal Springs video that Zach's working on there. And you had a shot on the second shot of the day where it was a par 5 and you pushed it left of the fairway. You were behind a tree and you're like, I'm technically yardage wise, I can get home, but I just don't have a shot.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to go low, it seemed as if you weren't comfortable with this shot. You did the up and over just to chip it out.
That's it.
You ended up hitting a branch and it didn't go far for you.
Yeah.
But that was your route there.
That's it. I would rather that than try to force a shot that could go very badly. It's always kind of like trying to do a risk reward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sure, there's a 1% chance this gets through, but there's a 99% chance it goes in a totally different direction.
That 1% though.
Right. But
At least I do.
Shifting that thought.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes I get it. It is super hard pill to swallow when you'd be like, I'm basically taking par and definitely taking birdie out of play here by punching a shot out. But think of it the other way. Instead of thinking of, oh man, I'm missing out on a birdie or a par attempt, think I'm taking double bogey out of play here.
I'm preventing a disaster.
Right. By just getting it back to a playable spot. So we've made a case for why the punch shot's important. Let's talk a little bit about how to play it. And this is one that kind of surprised me. And as we talk about, guys, if you're new to the show, we are not professional golfers. You've watched us play, you know that. We're not instructors. We're learning the game. So a lot of this, as we're learning it, we're talking about it here. We're testing it out on the golf course, as you said, trying to talk to you guys about some of those moments that we had. This is one, as we were kind of researching and learning this, that kind of surprised me, was that when you play this low punch shot, it's actually best to play it in the middle of your stance.
I would have thought back.
Right. I always think the same thing. The further back, the lower the trajectory it's going to go. And in a lot of ways, that's true. And you can vary your chipping, and we talk about back foot chipping, stuff like that. However, this is what I hadn't thought of. And one of the big differences, we want this to be a very controlled shot. As you move further back and you come in steeper, you're introducing a lot more spin.
Oh, okay.
Right. So by putting it in the middle of your stance, you're going to have a little bit of a flatter ball coming out, which will help that ball to stay on that same trajectory. Remember, backspin is something that can cause it to lift up on you. And yes, you can hit some of those incredibles. Like a Stinger actually is played more forward with weight forward. Yeah. But, sometimes it can look kind of cool. But as you get further back there, I understand how much that de-lofts the club. But keep in mind, as you come in steeper and steeper, you're introducing more and more spin on that ball. And you know that, Mike. I mean, you have a steep swing. You generate a ton of spin. Right? But as you do that you got to make sure that spin you're generating is desired and intentional. And in this case, it's a little bit more. You want to come out a little bit flat.
Yeah.
So try to play that ball in the middle of the stands and go through these couple of check marks as you're practicing this at the driving range, as we mentioned.
I like that.
That's a big one.
It keeps you.
But it's surprising, right?
Yeah.
It surprised me a little bit. The other one that's, I would say, not as surprising is choking down on the club.
This makes sense.
And keep in mind, a lot of everything we're doing here, it's not just to keep that lower trajectory, it's to hit that controlled, clean contact. And it's always going to be easier to hit a controlled shot when you choke down a little bit on it. So here, it can be better to take a little bit more club and choke down on it. I also like that because of the fact that you're introducing less loft. So like, let's say we, instead of hitting a 7-iron, maybe I hit a 5-iron, take a little more club, less loft, and I choke down on it to take some of that heat off of it from a 5-iron.
So choking down just basically takes some of the heat off. Like
it definitely
it won't
does.
send it as far.
It's not.
That's why we see some of these guys.
It's going to give you a
on
little
tour.
bit more control over the club.
Okay.
And it'll help promote a little bit of a shorter swing.
Okay.
And I think that those are the type of things that are going to help keep that ball low.
I see, a shorter swing.
Right. And so you're able to cover the same distance with a less lofted club than you would, a full swing 7 versus a lower punchy 5. Effectively travel the same difference. And I think that is one of the best ways to practice. I've been trying to introduce this in my game a little bit, and we see the best golfers do this, is that we think as a mindset, like this club is for this distance and like that's it, set in stone.
Yeah,
right. Whereas they will think more so of how they can make different clubs go that same distance. I think one of the best practice things you can do is take a target like a 150 target and try to hit it with as many different clubs as you can.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like now you've learned how, sure, that's my case. That's my full swing, regular stock 8-iron. But can I hit it with a 7-iron? A little bit lower, take a little bit off of it. Can I hit it with a 6-iron? That's where I find that's something that you can learn. And then all of a sudden now you can adapt to a shot and you don't have to play that. If you say, like, if I hit my regular stock 8, sure, I can get it 150, but also I know it's going to go 120 feet in the air and there's a lot of wind. So can I play it less? So I think that's smart. You can take distance off by choking down, but try that. Just try again. It's all about experimentation. And if you try those experiments out there, you'd be surprised how much you can learn from it.
You got the wheels turning on a possible YouTube video for next year,
right? Every club
challenge.
same yardage
same
challenge.
Yardage, every club challenge.
I love that.
Yeah,
because
putter too.
Not only the stuff we do, like it's fun to do, but it's also it truly is a learning experience.
Right,
it makes you a better.
You got to
golfer.
stretch your 60 degree 150 yards. You have to hit your you have to hit your driver 150 yards.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we've done that in a way with some of our 14 club challenges.
It's similar to 14 club.
But it just shows you. And then here's another example of that 14 club challenge where you're hitting each club at like a par 3. You watch the pros do it; they're so adept at it, because they know how to make it work with different.
And if they
clubs.
miss, they only miss by a little.
Right,
it's crazy.
So that's important. And then another thing, the last kind of point is trying to have some quiet hands. I think we can definitely in these shots we can tend to, especially if we have a problem with being a little flippy, we can get super flippy. And the more you start to flip and move those wrists, and a lot of us do that to try to like kind of lift that ball in the air, the more you can kind of introduce a lot of variables. Things can go wrong, but also you can get that ball up a little bit more. I really try to focus on having either that flat or the slightly bowed, like we talk about, like Hogan lead wrist.
Right.
And that flat wrist will help you get that nice, firm, steady, impact, that solid strike that a lot of us are after. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Again, we're coming down to just trying to make a nice, solid, predictable, get it in play strike.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
That's what we want.
We want that. It might not be the sexiest shot you can hit. It's not the biggest crowd pleaser, but it keeps your game on track.
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing. So how do we practice it? That's what we go back to. And at first, I think the first thing to do is just, being aware of it, that you need to practice it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, without that,
because we're not normally thinking of it. Right.
Right. Be aware that like, this is a shot that I'm going to need to play. And I don't want the first time I'm playing it to be out there in those conditions.
Right.
Familiarity leads to confidence. It's that simple. And how do you get familiar? You get familiar by practice.
That's it. So, why am I so confident in chipping from off the green? Because I don't hit a lot of greens, and I always find myself off the green.
Right. And why are you so good with that 60 degree, your money club? It's because you're familiar with it. You hit it. You've got confidence.
In that position a lot. Yeah.
We just recently did a little challenge where we again, pushing ourselves out of the comfort zone. We played a 3-club match where we only had 5-iron, 9-iron putter, and we had to chip with that 9-iron and things like that. And all of a sudden, it's like we're thrown for a loop because the familiarity is not there.
Yeah.
But as we force ourselves to do it, now all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I can actually chip with this thing, and I've got a new weapon in my arsenal.
Right. You start to figure it out.
It's all finding ways to make those 14 clubs like 100 weapons instead of 14.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But what you can do, and ideally, if you can do this on real turf, it's great. If not, a mat will work. But again, simulating some of those bad lies out there, I think it's good to try to find a real turf range where you can practice this. But one thing you can do to really kind of an easy way to practice this is to pick a target that's kind of like shorter than your normal distance, and just try to hit some punch shots towards it, working that ball down a little bit. So let's say it was a 150-yard shot again, rather than just taking your full, for me, stock 8 and just hitting your normal shot to it, try to hit that 150 distance with some bigger clubs.
Yeah, that's right.
And having them take a little bit lower. So in my case, maybe it's a 7-iron, maybe it's a 6-iron. And again, just trying to hit a nice controlled kind of flat, trajectory, and make note of it mentally, where that trajectory is, and try to visualize it, because as you start to learn it, you're learning the shot, but you're also learning your shot pattern and where it goes. Now you can visualize it. You have a visual reference point when you're out on the course. Is that tree branch actually too low?
Yeah.
For me to get under? Now I can visualize. Now I'm on the range. I know my shots are coming out with this. I can get under that, and it's not a guesswork.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really, really helps. So, take a break, put the driver down for a little bit next time you're at the range. Pick up some clubs and some short targets, and just try to hit some low trajectory shots at it. It will take time. You're not going to get on your first one, but if you use those tips we talked about, choking down a little bit, putting that ball in the middle of your stance, and then just keeping that kind of flat lead wrist, I think you can be successful with it.
And I keep coming back to this, but I'm a big believer. Make your range sessions a quote unquote uncomfortable session. Yeah. That's the time you need to go out and just do all the weird things. You want to go hit a couple of good ones to make you feel good, a 7-iron. Maybe do those right before you head out to your tee time or whatever, or before you get in the car. It's like the short putt before you hit the tee box, whatever. But get out there and try shots like these, because like you said, when else are you going to practice?
Yeah, because most golfers, we can perform in a stress-free environment. But you know what? The golf course is the opposite of that. It is not a stress-free environment. So the more stress and challenge you can introduce into your practice sessions, the more adept you'll be at handling it out on the golf course.
Right.
So that's it. So, hey, guys, if you got any of your own tips you want to add to our discussion today about the punch shot, if there's something that's worked for you, if there's a practice thing, if there's a drill, if there's a training aid that you found that's helped you, let us know about them in the comments. Like we said earlier, if you're not already subscribed to our new YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe over there. We're going to be doing some big things on the channel. But of course, as always, you can get to everything we talked about on Golficity and in the Golficity app, which we just had a major update for, working on making it even more user-friendly for you guys. So you can get to the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 407. Merry Christmas for all of you out there who celebrate.
Enjoy.
Yes,
Hope you get some good golf gear
on, I guess. Yeah, hopefully you get everything that was on your list. We'll see everybody again next week.